what I have here is a PlayStation 4 Pro. We have a PS4 Pro here, which I've already disassembled most of. It has an HDMI issue. The tab on the inside of the HDMI port is broken. This is actually a fairly dirty system too. So as you see there, the HDMI port is right there. It's definitely busted up. And it's really dirty. We're going to go ahead and get that off. We're going to replace the thermal paste on here as well, seeing how it's not doing its job anymore. So yeah, let's go ahead and take that port off. I dusted off this motherboard, seeing how it was really dirty. I did not want it to catch fire. And now we are able to remove this HDMI port. I'm going to go ahead and load some flux on the back of it. Grab our heat gun here. Just go ahead and heat this up. And as it heats up, I'm going to feed some solder into the feet of the HDMI port. And I know I didn't show the disassembly of this PlayStation, but I will show the assembly of it, which is the exact reverse for disassembly. This one smells like incense. It's strange. Usually I can tell if people smoke. People smoke cigarettes, if they smoke weed. I can smell all of that inside of their game consoles. Usually if their game console smells like weed, I get really weary about doing those ones because cockroaches smell the same. So it could either be somebody who smokes weed, or it could be somebody who has cockroaches inside of their system. This one, on the other hand, seems like it's either cigarettes or something near that. But it smells like incense, which is really strange. So maybe it's just really dirty. Alright, now that we got the solder in there, we're going to go ahead and take the port off. Grab my tweezers. It should be loose. Yep. Just pop that bad boy off there. Ooh, I forgot to take off that. Whoops. There's a little foam piece on the bottom of that port. It's extremely toxic if you breathe it in. I just took some huge breaths of the toxicity, but that's okay. Alright. So, everything looks good. It's just the port that's damaged. Board actually looks really good where this port was. In any case, we're still going to throw some new solder on it and get a new port on there. Alright, we got the pads resoldered and the port pre-10. I'm going to go ahead and put some flux on there. Drop the port in. Sometimes you gotta push these ones in. A little bit of solder there. That's alright. It'll melt as we put it on. So the solder is a fluid. Should be good to let it cool down. Yep. The pins are connected on the back. We're gonna go ahead and flip it over. Put some solder on the bottom. Then we're going to use the heat here to push that solder up. Perfect. Now we do the same thing to the other side. Check these pins real quick. I have to check these ones because sometimes they don't sit right. Yeah, looks like everything's secured. We're going to go ahead and let this cool down, and as it cools down we're going to clean off the old thermal paste and put new thermal paste on both the board and the frame. So we're going to go ahead and work with the frame first before we do the board. Alright, this thermal paste is still pretty soft. However, it's not good anymore. So what we have to do is take that off. We'll just take it off with a Q-tip and some more alcohol. And just rub it off. Comes off really easily. Take the dry side here and kind of polish it, get it nice and shiny. Let's see if we can get it a little bit cleaner. Alright, now we're going to put some new thermal paste on here. And I like to do a line and then use a flat piece of something just to spread it out, like so. Just want to make a thin layer. There. I'm going to do the same thing to the board. Alright, now we got the board here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to get it out of these sides here first. That's where it builds up the most. turns into putty. It's almost a putty when it starts to dry up. Alright, now that we got a majority off of the sides, I'm going to clean it off of the top. Now we're going to polish that up as well. Just to make sure the surface is absolutely clean. Alright, now we'll put some new thermal paste on there as well. Same thing, just draw a line on one side and then scrape it out. Alright, now it's pretty good there. You always want to make sure it's completely covered, which it is. Cool. Now we're going to put it back together and do a temporary install to check and make sure that the port is working. Once we see that that's all good, we're going to go ahead and put it back together. Alright, we're just going to go ahead and slide this in here. With the PS4 Pro, there's a lot of stuff in the way. So you just gotta make sure you move it all out. This is the fan connector. I believe this one is the, let's see which one this is. Eject button for the disc tray, and this is the power button. Alright, let's see. Yeah, I think on this one we can plug all these up. We're just going to get all these ribbons plugged in. They're all just push and pull except for this one. This one right here, we have to lift the gate there. And we can slide it down and close the gate. Alright, and then plug the fan in. Once we have the fan plugged in, we can go ahead and secure the APU here. Throw this bad boy back on there, but we're gonna brush it down real quick. Alright, let's get that on there. So we're gonna move these ribbons out of the, or these antennas here out of the way. This one likes to get stuck under there, and this white one feeds through right there. I'm just gonna lay that down. Now that we got that laid down, we're gonna secure this. I like to use the bigger ones to secure it. Bigger screws. This is the hole that holds the power supply in. I think that one does too. I'm gonna secure it there and there. I'm going to go ahead and install these, and these are all labeled W for white. And this just feeds through these two tabs, and these 3 rails here and then comes back to right here. B for back or black, but I don't think it would make sense if it was black because this one's also black. And there's F for front or forward, I'm guessing. Alright, let's get another screw in here. Alright, now that we have that secured, we can pop the power supply back in. And we're just testing it for now. We're not assembling completely. And that just pops in there. We're going to have to throw the hard drive in to test it. So I'm going to go ahead and slide that in there. And let's go test it and see what we get. Alright, so we got it turned on, plugged in, and it looks like it's in safe mode here, which is fine. I'll just get it out of safe mode after we put it all back together. Alright, we're gonna secure the power supply down first. The only reason I do this is so that it holds it down and doesn't fall out when we flip it over, which doesn't really fall out most of the time. It's just a precaution. And there's 2 long screws that go in on the front of it and 2 short screws that go on the side, depending on which model of the PS4 Pro it is. I think the older ones also had a screw right here, and this area was also built different on, I'm pretty sure it was the older one, but they are made different, and there's actually a tray underneath this metal piece that goes over the top of the APU there. Once we get all the bigger screws on there, then it'll be really easy to get the smaller screws on. Now, one of the biggest issues I've seen with PS4 Pros is overheating, and it's very common. Sometimes it can't be fixed. Even when you replace the thermal paste, you still could have the issues. So you just want to make sure that they're as clean as possible. You don't want there to be any problems. These screws are so hard to deal with. I need to find my other screwdriver here. My other screwdriver is the one that works best. Okay, I don't know where it's at. Might be out there in the front of my shop. That's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and screw this in. Screw that in. And all these screws are the same size, these smaller ones, which is really nice compared to the original PS4 and the different model of the original PS4 and the PS4 Slim. These ones are, in my opinion, my favorite ones to work on. Most of the time they're just cleaner anyways. People tend to take care of them better. However, in this case, this one's pretty dirty. I'm surprised it hasn't had overheating issues, but maybe it has. Maybe it has, we just don't know. But there's a whole bunch of screws on this that we gotta get in. The smaller screws, that's alright, they all go in easy. The PS4 Slim has silver screws that are long that go into the plastic holes to screw in, and so they're plastic screws. The screws aren't plastic, the screws are metal, but they screw into plastic. And then you have the machined black screws that go into the metal female end. And then you have the smaller silver screws that screw in where this ridge is on the PS4 Slim and the original PS4. And then you also have the little screws where the hard drive is, which in this case is all the big screws. So it's definitely a lot better working with these. Because I only have 2 screws. And these screws are actually big enough for you to hold. And if you drop them, you can find them, unlike the Slim. Okay, it looks like we don't have all the screws here, which would make sense since this has been opened before. So what we're gonna do, because I like to have all the screws around this APU here, what we're gonna do is borrow a screw, probably this one. Nope, we're gonna borrow this one here, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4 screws holding that down, so that is not going to come up. And we're just going to put it right here just to make sure that this is tight. You always want this to be tight. Alright, now that we got that, I'm going to go ahead and throw this bottom tray back on. The bottom one has these clips right here, so the screw will go in here. On the other model, there's 2 or 3 screws, I think. On this model, there's only 1 screw that goes in here, and this has a tab, and this has a tab that they click into. So you're just going to slide that on the front there, pull it back, and then those just slide down into those clips, just like so. Now we can go ahead and put that screw in and get the screw for the hard drive put in as well. And this one was missing. There's a plastic piece that goes right here. This one was missing that, but that's okay. It's not needed. It's just an aesthetically pleasing piece if you were to see the back of the console at any point, which you're probably not, so. Alright, we're going to take the top here. The top is different, so the more, wait no, it's the same. So you're just going to slide it on, but you're going to slide it from the back to the front instead of the front to the back like the bottom one, because they are angled. You can just pop that bad boy on there. And we're going to go test it one last time, make sure it's good, and then I'll have the customer pick it up.